gigantic arch of everlasting stone, cut by the hand of God while ancient time looked down on a new-made world. How many centuries through thy portals vast, since that far hour have joined eternity?
How many centuries? How often have you heard it said, if walls could only talk, what a story they might tell? Surprised? You may well be, for it is I, the bridge, who speaks, that you who listen may hear the story I have to tell. Already you know the secret of my creation from those beloved words of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And he created the waters of the earth, and the beasts of the field. Since the beginning, untold centuries have come and gone, as though 1,000 years were but a single day. I am ageless, but through the ages I have not been alone. For eons ago, out of the silence came my constant companion, the brook, with its melody as it began carving my great stature from the void. When I first became acquainted with the race of men who worshipped me as a pagan god, I tried to tell them of the true God of all creation, but they could not understand my symbolic language. Many years passed, and one day the red-skinned people were gone. In their stead came white men who explored and marveled at what they saw. That noble skyline to the west they christened the Blue Ridge, and went home to tell of good land, wide spaces for new homes and new hearth fires. So it was in the year 1737 that the first white settlers came to claim the free land of which I had been overseer for millions of years. One brave woman was a member of that stalwart band of 7. Benjamin Borden, the leader of the group, had come in search of the tract of land granted him by the British authorities, the land later to be named in my honor as Rockbridge County, Virginia. Still, I watched and listened, for that was only the first of 1,000 campfires. George Washington, when a young man, came to my land to survey for the English crown. According to legend, he scaled some 25 feet of my southeast wall to whittle his initials. He left his mark in stone. And on his memory was etched the beauty of our land, so that later in life he made a generous bequest which helped make possible Washington College, the first in our county. When Thomas Jefferson bought these acres for 20 shillings from King George III, he predicted people from every quarter of the earth would someday find their way here. This purchase was just 1 year before Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. During the Revolution, molten lead was dropped from my highest point to the cold mountain water below to make bullets which my countrymen fired against the English in their fight for freedom. And when their freedom was won, my valley was settled by Scotch-Irish Presbyterians. The homes they built were sturdy and stately. and their churches dotting the valley reflected their strong faith in God. For 200 years, the old stone church at Timber Ridge has been part of the life of the valley. It was, I suppose, a stern way of life, hard for the grown-ups, harder for the children, but it produced strong, self-sufficient men and women, the stuff of which leaders are made. Sam Houston, as a boy, learned much here that later helped make him a great leader of men. We know of him now in history as General of the Army of Texas and President of the Texas Republic. Cyrus Hall McCormick, on his father's farm here in Rockbridge County, produced a machine destined to bring him fame. This first crude, practical reaper he made when just 22 years old. And I watched another handsome young man ride into the town of Lexington and set all the feminine hearts to fluttering. This was Thomas Jonathan Jackson. He lived here in the heart of old Lexington while he taught at the Virginia Military Institute. When Civil War came to the troubled land, he took up his sword to become General Lee's right arm. His military strategy and daring leadership won for him the affectionate title of Stonewall Jackson. Those were painful years for this valley. I remember the Battle of Newmarket and how the cadets of VMI swung it to victory for the South. In memory of the men of the Newmarket Corps who died in that battlefield, Sir Moses Ezekiel, himself a member of this corps, created the famous statue of Virginia mourning her dead. The same sculptor created the statue of Stonewall Jackson, which also rests on the Virginia Military Institute's campus grounds. They have a proud story, our Virginia Military Institute cadets. And as I watch them march with spirit, I know it is the spirit of men rich in historical tradition. Short distance from the campus of Virginia Military Institute, still in Lexington, is another famous campus, the Washington College, named in honor of its benefactor, George Washington. And it was here, the cruel Civil War years over at long last, that General Robert E. Lee came to be president of the little college. Today, it is widely recognized as Washington and Lee University. Nowhere will you better catch the strong, pervading sense of Lee's purpose and plan to turn bitterness into brotherhood than here in the colonnade. In the Lee Chapel, students gather to worship God and to honor the memory of General Lee by their devotion to his ideals. And in old Lexington Cemetery, Stonewall Jackson's statue marks his final resting place. But to know my Lexington of today is to mingle with the past I have recalled, the stately homes and quaint churches, mellowed with age. Today, it is a historical shrine of the nation where history lovers pay homage to the great men who were raised in Rockbridge County. Another famous man, one of Rockbridge County's adopted sons, was Matthew Fontaine Maury. He charted the seas, pioneered the Weather Bureau, proved the possibility of a submarine telegraph cable, and designed the first ironclad warship. The Maury Road was named in his honor, and no beauty lover should miss it. Giant tumbled boulders, immense forests, and splendid views at every turn. The old trails and pioneer roads have vanished with the old days. Today, there are magnificent highways through my county. The incredible loveliness of Goshen Pass in the spring, the wooded hills and verdant meadows, and clear, flowing streams, all these natural beauties my county offers you today, as it has from time immemorial. Here in the beauty of this county, blessed by God and natural wonder, the spirit of our forefathers will dwell through the ages to call our nation to greatness. Their spirit, more permanent than my towering arch of stone.